Welcome back, everybody. Today we are deep diving the radical bonus. If you like what we do, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notifications button, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon. I want to thank Limerick Bowl for their support. If you're in the area, don't forget to visit Limerick Bowl in Limerick, Pennsylvania. A big thank you to Jeff Miller and Ron Hoppy. Don't forget to check out Haley's Pro Shop in Burlington, Washington for world-class drilling and coaching. We tested on a medium house shot and the Kegel Arsenic pattern. First impressions, the Radical Bonus looks like Radical's version of the Venom Shock, IQ Tour Nano, Web Tour, etc. Master Control Ball. Alright, Radical's back with a special control ball called the Bonus. This is clearly a replacement for their Intel. The core shape is very similar, as are the specs. The cover's a little stronger here, so I'm likening the Intel to the IQ Tour, for example, and the Bonus to the IQ Tour Nano Pearl or Hammer Web Tour. The formula is pretty simple, really. Put a low RG, low differential control core in a medium to strong cover, and you get a control shape. I think this is closer to the formula of, say, the Web Tour or the Venom Shock, where they're using a much stronger cover than core. So what is the shape? It's a smooth, strong arc. More technically, you have a stronger surface read with friction created by the cover, and then you get a smooth transition down lane from the low differential core. So you get an arc and then medium arc down lane. This creates an immensely usable and reliable control ball motion. It's not gonna hook out of the building. You don't want to have massively open angles, but when there's enough volume to allow you to bowl a bit more direct, whatever that is for you, you take advantage of a nice, smooth, and trustworthy motion. James Kasee, a hammer staffer, was super comfortable with the ball motion from the first throw. He struck a lot, and these are not repeat shots. Everything I've been describing, you can clearly see as James throws the ball. You aren't surprised, you know what it's going to do. He plays just inside the third arrow, and as he moves in, you see how the motion compensates. I mean, as he gets closer to the fourth arrow, you can see that it's now driving a little soft, deflecting a little more, still slapping out the 10. There's an obvious angle limit for this type of motion, but that's not what this ball is for. He also tried going up the boards to show you the motion from there. He cuts down his axis rotation significantly. The first couple balls did surprise a bit as it didn't make it up the hill as compared to other balls we tested in this session. Because the core is not as dynamic, you have to play to that smooth arc. And you can see that even 9 to 5 is not going to work, but 8 to 5, and there it is. Surprisingly, it was a little tricky, but depending on your style, you may be able to get even further into the friction to get the motion you want. James couldn't get any further into the friction, but couldn't get any further into the oil. So it was a little bit of a trap going direct for James. We also had a chance to test the Radical Bonus on the very tricky and flat Kegel Arsenic pattern. Again, as typical, flat patterns requires you to watch your angles very carefully, and you kind of chase in to eventually get to a fallback spot with a cleaner look. This motion is probably more effective at the beginning of the block for this type of pattern, where you want to control the fronts, smooth back end. The only issue is with this much cover strength or grit, it pushes you in on the flat pattern, and then you have a little harder time getting the angle you need. And here's where you actually get to see the limitations of the ball. It's still a nice smooth motion, but now it hurts a little more. That soft arc when you have to be into the fourth arrow is exposed as the ball deflects through the pins. If he's a little tight, he leaves a 4-pin. So it's a nice motion overall, even if it's not ideal for this pattern. Alright, final thoughts. With the Radical Bonus, it seems to fit in the mid-control ball for some, or a specialty for others. All styles will be able to take advantage of this motion, but at different times. With higher rev, you can use it more direct when there's some volume. Lower rev will be able to use it with medium or lower volumes. I personally like to have this shape as a specialty ball rather than a mid-control, where I want a more dynamic shape there from my game personally. For James, this could be a perfect mid-control ball. The Bonus should be a very successful ball for Radical.